For more than 70 years, the nation has observed National Mental Health Awareness during the month of May. Nearly 1 in 5 adults in America live with a mental illness. Author Haywood Robinson chronicles her journey from darkness to light in her new book, Chasing Pleasure with Pain. She joins us now. Thank you so much for being here, Haywood.
Thank you for having me.
And congratulations on this new book. It just came out in January.
That's correct. Thank you so much.
Now, once the books hit the shelves, then you're off to the races. But how long did the process take you to put your experiences down on paper?
Actually, the quarantine presented a unique opportunity. It only took about 3 months. This is something I've been thinking about for years. So once I put pen to paper, it just kind of wrote itself.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? And I want to learn more about your journey here.
Sure. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, born and raised in Mount Pleasant. As I was a teenager, I was sent to a behavioral modification program in Montana. So that was actually a very traumatic experience for me. They severely traumatized me. And so about 6 years ago, I actually found out I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So all of these things I thought made me a bad person, dating back to being a teenager, were actually symptoms of an illness.
So let me just stop you right there, if I may, Haywood. So a behavior modification camp, what is this, and why were you sent there?
It's supposedly a school. They call it a program. Your parents send you there when they think you have behavioral problems. When a lot of times when you're a teenager, either you're experiencing your first onset of mental illness, this was my case, or you're going through puberty or whatever it may be. But there are alternate resources for this, and I would recommend people researching before sending your kids to just any program.
Right. So what was your experience like there? So you were sent at what age?
I was 17.
17.
And they...
And so far away from home too.
Montana. Yeah, I was sent to Montana, and it was really the seminars that they put you through that really kind of traumatize you the most. They restrict your food, and they restrict your sleeping, and they make you reenact traumatic events from your past, and do what they call attack therapy, humiliation. So it was stuff like that and I chronicle all of this in the book, but it's pretty traumatic.
I can't even imagine, and being 17, so far from home, and being forced to do things that sound so incredibly uncomfortable, if not embarrassing. So how long were you there?
I was there for 9 months.
Okay. And so you came back home, and then at what point were you diagnosed, and what was your journey then after diagnosis and discovering treatment?
I was actually not diagnosed until 6 years ago with bipolar disorder. So I went my whole life up until just recently feeling like everything I did was actually me being a bad person and not symptoms of an illness. So that's another reason why I wrote the book, is so that people can understand that they're not alone and feeling these feelings, and early diagnosis is very important. Mental health is very important. I just don't want anyone to experience life the way I did for so long. I am very fulfilled now, and I have a purpose. But for a very long time, I didn't. So this is why I wrote the book. I want to validate others. I'm a member of several groups on Facebook, including Breaking Code Silence, that have really helped me to come to terms with my trauma. So I just wanted to pay it forward and help to validate other people.
Absolutely. And the more support, the better, because I'm sure it's very scary feeling that you're all alone dealing with this. And I want to talk a little bit more about your advocacy and how you are helping other people who are suffering from different levels of mental illness. We'll do that after the break, so don't go anywhere. We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. We've been chatting with Haywood Robinson. She recently released a book, Chasing Pleasure with Pain, and it chronicles her journey through discovering mental illness and treatment and the trauma that you suffered leading up to that point. You said that you went most of your life without even realizing that you suffered from bipolar disorder. So there are still people who've gone even longer and just have felt lost. So how do you make that breakthrough?
Well, to make your point, I've been probably the most outgoing, goofy, funny friend for so long that people hide it. People hide it very well. Probably some of the funniest, most fun-loving, happiest people you've ever met could be suffering in silence. And that's what's so terrifying about it, is that I've met so many people along the way that have gone through the same thing. I personally have attempted suicide twice, and thankfully have been unsuccessful. But my heart just goes out to people because, again, unfortunately, there's not a lot of warning signs, especially for those of us who feel like we would be letting someone down. We just try to be the person that's happy and making others happy, because it's so important to make other people happy, especially when we don't know how to make ourselves happy.
Right, right. For people who are watching this now and just kind of questioning their own mental health, what would you recommend that they do? Where should they go first?
I would go online and just look for a mental health professional in your area that is if you have insurance in your network. If you don't have insurance, then try to find somebody that you can afford. But either way, there are resources out there. There are support groups, whether you find them online or you can find them in person. I personally have benefited greatly from online support groups. I think the validation is incredibly valuable. So that's the first thing I would say for anyone struggling. Go and talk to somebody if you can. Otherwise, go to these support groups, because other people will share their stories and you'll realize you're not alone. And then it'll make you more comfortable to be able to tell your own story. And that is extremely validating and healing and cathartic.
And as you move forward from this point, so if you're ever feeling that it creeps back up on you, or what is your next step? Is it to reach out to those online forums? Is it to keep in touch with people? Because they say there's power in numbers. So when you've got that support system around you, it can help lift you up.
Yes. And I'm not done with my journey. I struggle all the time, and I'm on medication. And the thing about being on medication when you have a mental illness is that the brain is constantly changing. Your brain chemistry is constantly changing. So you never just get the right number of medications and you're good for the rest of your life. You have to continuously see a psychiatrist to change those medications when necessary. But yes, when I'm starting to feel like, I'm upset or I'm lonely or whatever it may be, I know to reach out now. Yes. I have a support system. I'm very lucky that I have friends and family that are very supportive of me. Yeah. Not everybody has that.
Well,
which is why online is important.
We're very lucky to have you, Haywood, and we're so lucky that you've come out with this book. You are going to have a book signing. This is taking place at Dog and Duck at Bell Hall in Mount Pleasant, and it's a book signing meet and greet Saturday, May 8th from 6 to 8 p.m. Do not miss it. And of course, if you are suffering and you need help, the National Suicide Prevention Line is 800-273-8255 or 800-273-TALK, T-A-L-K. I want to thank you, Haywood, so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're back after this.